Between 1954 and 1956, in the quiet town of Santa Necia, in the Piraí district, in the interior of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Lucy Gallucci led a peaceful life. At just 18 years old, she was an introspective young woman with a passion for books. Her favorite refuge was a secluded lake, where she would spend hours immersed in her reading, surrounded only by the sound of birds and the gentle movement of the water. That day, something would change his life forever. The first contact, it was a peaceful afternoon. Like so many others, Lucy sat on the shore of the lake, leafing through one of her favorite books. The wind blew gently, swaying the leaves of the trees around her, and the only company she expected was that of silence and nature. But that day, an unexpected visitor would interrupt her routine. Looking up, she noticed a man walking toward her. He moved with an unusual lightness, almost floating. As he approached, Lucy realized that he was no ordinary man. He was dressed in a flawless, white suit, fitted to his body, with no visible seams. His skin was smooth, without any visible hair, and his features were harmonious, but strangely different. His forehead was broad, his ears slightly pointed, and his brown eyes shone with a peculiar intensity. Lucy should have felt fear, but she didn't. There was something about that being that transmitted serenity, a deep sense of peace and security. Before she could greet him, he began to speak. His voice was hypnotic, soft and confident. He didn't ask questions. He just stated truths that challenged everything Lucy believed she knew about life and the universe. The revelation, life in the universe is abundant, he said. It spreads like seeds in the wind, germinating where conditions are favorable. On some worlds, it evolves slowly, as it did here on Earth, and on others, it was seeded by civilizations much older than yours. Lucy remained silent, absorbing his words. The way he spoke was unlike anything she had ever heard before. There was an absolute certainty in his voice, as if he were sharing memories, not theories. Your planet has long received visitors. 3 large groups of colonists arrived here and settled on different continents, each choosing the climate closest to their home worlds. Lucy felt a shiver. His explanation made sense. The ancient civilizations, the physical differences between people, the legends about gods who came from the heavens. Everything fit together in an almost disconcerting way. But not all the peoples who came remained in harmony, he continued. Some fought wars, became isolated, and lost their way. The High Council, which regulated contact between worlds, was forced to cut ties between Earth and other civilizations. Since then, you have been left to your own devices, under observation, waiting for the right moment to reunite. Lucy tried to process that information. What he was saying explained why humanity seemed so disconnected from its true origins. However, if that was the case, why was he there? Why did he choose to speak to her? The moment of transition. The time of transition will come, he said. The old bonds will be restored, and the star travelers will once again walk among you. But for this, humanity must be ready. Lucy felt a tightness in her chest. Somehow she knew that was true. She also knew that humanity was still far from being prepared. The being observed her for a moment, as if he wanted to make sure that his message had been understood. Then, without any goodbye, he took a step back and before Lucy's astonished eyes, simply disappeared. In the days and months that followed, Lucy tried to find an explanation for that encounter. Had it been a dream? A hallucination? It all seemed so real. The words, the look, the reassuring presence, none of it could be shaken from her mind. She then decided to write a detailed account and sent it to ufologist Irene Granchi, who documented her experience in the magazine OVNI Documento. Her testimony became one of the most studied in the field of exoanthropology, being confronted with other archaeological and paleontological evidence that supported the hypothesis of an extraterrestrial origin of humanity. Lucy Gallucci's story has become one of the most fascinating in Brazilian ufology, precisely because of its simplicity. An ordinary young woman with no external influences, no prior knowledge of ufology, living in a time when flying saucers were still a rare subject. Her experience did not involve metallic ships or frightening creatures, just a deep and transformative conversation with a being who seemed to carry with him ancient knowledge. Lucy carried that memory with her until the end of her life, never doubting the reality of what she had experienced. Her account remains one of the most intriguing close encounters ever recorded, leaving open the question, what if the moment of transition is closer than we imagine? Even today, the case of Lucy Gallucci remains one of the most fascinating accounts of close encounter in the history of Brazilian ufology.